poor country since it gained its independence recently in 1960 from France. One third of its population lives in poverty. It has only had 3 presidents, 2 of which were related. The 3 presidencies were interrupted at different times by different attempts at a rebellion. The most recent occurred in January of this year as the current president Ali Bongo Ondimba was recovering from a stroke. The fight was narrowly stopped, but it still demonstrates the poor control that the government has over the country. They have taken advantage of the fact that they operate with little transparency, so they don't ensure free and fair elections. Similarly, despite having an average GDP of $16.5 billion, Gabon's economy is only supported up by its being one of the largest producers of oil in Africa. Combined with the political instability that has always been a problem and has caused massive unemployment and hiring freezes, the unemployment rate is high and the quality of life is really low. People earn less than $150 a month and are forced to live that way. Recently, the government has prioritized to assist the most vulnerable, meaning the elderly, orphans, and the disabled, through integrated social programs and help low-income people develop income-generating activities. The only program that looks to specifically stop slavery and help teenagers is one in 2017 when Gabon launched the Economic Recovery Plan, which improved the quality of education for kids living in poverty. But this is not enough, and the country's current state regarding human trafficking is evidence. Gabon is Tier 3, which is the lowest tier. Tier 3 means that the country's government does not fully comply with the minimum standards and are not making significant efforts to do so. Gabon is primarily a destination and transit country for children subjected to forced labor and sex trafficking. Gabon's prevalence rank is 73 out of 167, meaning that it is ranked 73 out of 167 countries in the number of modern-day slaves. One example of this can be Senami's case. She was a 13-year-old girl who was sold into slavery by her dad. She worked for a wicked Beninese woman in the Gabon capital, Libreville, who made her do everything. Senami's name has been changed, as well as possibly hundreds of foreign boys and girls who toil in Gabon as slaves. She worked for 20 hours a day and was often beaten. When she was rescued, the government took advantage of the case to turn it into a money-making machine. Her story was told and exploited. She was just one of the hundreds of teenagers that worked every day for incredibly long hours and little to no pay. With Gabon's population of 1,930,175 people and 4.83% of its population living in modern slavery, there's an average of 9,000 people living this way in Gabon. People are sold into slavery for very little money, but Gabon belongs to the worldwide $150 billion in modern slave trade. A child slave costs around 760 euros. Child slaves are cheaper than adult slaves since adult slaves are more capable. Slave owners and human traffickers aren't severely punished, since when they are caught, they try to bribe their way out, and it often works. Gabon didn't have a law that criminalized human traffickers until 2004. Gabon is rich in oil, so many slaves are used to extract oil. The entire oil industry that involves forced labor is valued at $5.4 billion. In order to help, we can raise awareness and protest. This is a serious case that is not treated properly by not only Gabon's government, but worldwide. We can help by donating to free the slaves and volunteer for a local anti-trafficking organization. Special NGOs that work within the country are African Timber Organization, MGBEF, BDEAC, which work in different areas but also donate to the problem of slavery within the country.